Welcome back to the channel. Thank y'all for hanging with me early on this Saturday morning. So I want to talk about the action of your punching baits because you're going to see punching baits look a little different across the board. Now, my favorite one all time would be some type of beaver style bait, but the beaver is more of that gliding action. When you put a big 1.5 ounce weight on it, it doesn't necessarily glide, it goes straight to the bottom. So I like to have a little bit of kick from my appendages on there. So this is a Gambler Stinger. I've talked about this in other videos, and I like it because it's a really flat, easy to penetrate with that hook, especially when you have a fish that may be pulling you down into the grass. The line may be wrapped around the grass and the fish is coming towards you, so you're just basically pulling into the grass. You're not getting a whole lot of wood on the fish. So I like that skinnier profile where that hook can penetrate through the plastic and get to the fish. Now, I will say this. I've come from some of the best punching places in the country, Guntersville, Okeechobee, the Kissimmee chain, and I want to talk about the different types of baits because most of the time you can get away with one. Most of the time, if you just have one that you're super confident in, that you know will work pretty much everywhere, like the Gambler Stinger, it's good to just go find fish that aren't super hard to catch. So like if I'm on Lake Seminole and they're not biting the 5 colors that I usually try, and I've punched through an area, I'm not going to try to get too specific with my bait, break out a BB cricket, break out that 4-inch Gambler craw, break out a couple different baits to try to get a bite when that's not working. Because then you're looking for fish that are hard to catch. Then you're trying to figure out a fish that you don't know how it's going to act in a couple days. Those fish are typically not the ones that I want to be looking for. Now, when I will break out the BB cricket, when I will break out that 4-inch craw that just doesn't do anything, it's basically like a bigger BB cricket, is when I know there's fish in these areas. Down in Florida, you may have a big area, cold front comes through, and you have matted vegetation everywhere, and you've been catching them on the Stinger. Well, they've changed. You know they probably haven't left the matted areas with the cold front, but they're not hitting that bait, or they're hitting it, they're not grabbing onto it, they're not hanging onto it. That's when you go to the BB cricket. That's when you start to finesse and downsize your punching baits. But as far as looking with those baits, you can get yourself in a lot of trouble because you're catching fish and you're getting bites from fish that are not going to bite something else that is this big. Is setting yourself up for failure, in my opinion. I just feel like that's like going out there and looking for fish with a shaky head. You want to find them on bigger baits, and you want to be trying to allure to bigger fish the more time you spend out there, not just looking for little fish, trying to catch little fish. That's not what finesse baits are made for. You want to find them on baits that kick and move and have a lot of action. And then when it gets tough and you have no other places to go and fish, you know that your best chances are just staying in here, that's when you downsize. That's when you go to the BB cricket. But as far as just going and looking, this is a great place to start. So a Gambler Stinger, my favorite all-around, all-time punching bait. And I will say this, about 90% of the time, this is what I'm going to use. And if this bite goes away, I'm probably going to go look somewhere else in the lake, not try to downsize and catch those fish that I've been catching in that area on a smaller bait. I'm just going to go look somewhere else because there's probably something better going on. The grass is typically always greener in fishing, and if you have somewhere else to go, that's probably your better option than to try to downsize. Now, there are places like Florida where you're going to have general areas where all your eggs are in that basket, and that's just how Florida is. Then you have to try to catch them when they're not biting this. But that's a rare situation, so don't believe all the hype. You can do it all with one bait 90% of the time. Try that. Good luck to you, and I'll see you on the water.